It is still somewhat hard to imagine exactly what life was like just 5 short years ago. On March 16, 2020, President Donald Trump announced federal guidelines limiting travel and public gatherings designed to slow the spread of the COVID pandemic. In that same speech, he gave states the autonomy to determine their own lockdown policies, and 3 days later, California ordered the first statewide stay-at-home order in United States history. By early April, more than 40 states had some type of lockdown. Schools across America were closed, and children, for the most part, couldn't even play outside. At least, that was until one organization stepped up to the plate.
Hi, my name is Don DeDonatis III. I was the CEO of USSSA during the 2020 global pandemic.
It was just about 5 years ago this week, when a very important youth baseball tournament took place in Viera, Florida. While most of the country was still quarantining and wearing masks, the United States Specialty Sports Association, known as the USSSA, decided they were going to push against the idea that kids were healthier staying indoors, and sponsored a 70-team youth baseball tournament. To make this happen almost seemed impossible. In fact, most of the young athletes who would take part in the tournament had just had their academic school years cut short. But the USSSA, the largest multi-sport sanctioning association, knew what had to be done. They had to get kids back on the playing fields.
Being in Florida, separate from the whole country running and over, a couple thousand directors running events, during the main peak time. It was kind of twofold because, again, Florida, where our home was, and having a facility at the home of USSSA, we had to obviously focus on how to get the facility up and afloat, but the bigger picture was obviously the whole country and getting that back. And the majority of our directors, this is their livelihood. This is how they pay their bills and feed their families. So a lot of unknowns, and I think that was one of the biggest fears within COVID, was there was no playbook for it. But as the leaders in the industry of USSSA, we kind of took it upon ourselves to put ourselves out there first and be that leader. Commissioner Kurt Smith, at the time, he's a huge advocate of USSSA, and a big reason why USSSA came to Brevard County. He took it to, the county commissioners and put it in front of a vote, and obviously helped pitch the why it was important due to the economy and just getting back to some normalization. The pros outweighed the cons and some of the unknowns. That one was a 5-0 full go from the county commissioners to get back out and about. So that was step one. And obviously the next was clearing it through Governor DeSantis' office and getting approval to be able to get back out there. Making sure we had hand sanitizing stations. I don't even remember, 30 to 40 probably spread throughout the facility. No water coolers in the dugout. More staffing, social distancing. I think in the beginning, if I remember right, we had bleachers taped off to try to make sure we encourage the social distancing. Safety and making sure that the people coming in, players, fans, they wanted to get back on the field, but we knew we had to do it within a safe environment. But I do know that initially there were testing kits that we did have available if somebody needed it on site. Again, even with that whole process, I don't remember anything, anything really crazy on a negative side coming back. Hotels was a huge impact, of course. Convenience stores, especially close by, Publix, and all the food, restaurants. I want to say the majority of their customers were probably, from that event in some fashion. There was talks about having an umpire stand, either behind the mound because he didn't want to be that close to the catcher. And, we thought it was important to maintain the integrity of the game and thought that we could do it in a safe manner. And, the game was played as it normally would have been. No handshakes after the games between the teams, award ceremonies at the end of the tournament. That was kind of nixed. Again, we could have took more than 72, 74 teams. Again, there were so many people that wanted to play and were anxious to get back out there. That first day, even through the championship, was different. You felt the need for normalcy, and just again, the why behind why I love youth sports, just providing an experience to shape the lives of young athletes. And this is one that I would have to think a lot of athletes, parents, coaches that have done a lot will not forget. And that's the same on my end, and USSSA is the vibe. And so many people were thankful. Generally when you have a tournament, You know, you will have people be upset over umpires, over different things. Again, that was one of the few times I don't think anybody said one word. They were just that happy to be back out there playing. So, I mean, I remember hearing numerous times, you know, it's almost like we're living in a different world. Like coming here and being able again to go to a restaurant, you know, again, the stuff you take for granted, and you know, you could feel like it was something special, and definitely a moment that, you know I won't forget, and I'm sure again a lot of other players, coaches, families, staff will probably feel the same way if you spoke to them.